So you've probably heard this one floating around the internet. The idea that the god of Islam, Allah, was actually a pagan moon god from ancient Arabia. It's a claim that seems to connect a lot of dots, right? But the real question is there any truth to it? Let's dig in.
In this explainer, we're going to put that very claim to the test. We're going to cut through all the noise and the arguments and look directly at the hard evidence, what archaeology, ancient inscriptions, and history actually have to say about it.
All right, so first things first, let's break down the claim itself. To give it a fair shake, you really have to understand why it sounds so convincing to so many people in the first place. And at first glance, you can totally see why it clicks. You've got the crescent symbol, which everyone connects with Islam today. You have the historical fact that pre-Islamic Arabia was, for sure, a pagan society. And yep, archaeologists have confirmed that moon worship was a real thing in that part of the world. You put those three pieces together, and the theory seems to make a lot of sense. But, and this is a big but, that's where the story takes a really sharp turn. The moment you move from just connecting the dots to looking at the actual physical evidence, the picture starts to look very, very different. And here's the thing, it's a really crucial point. For a claim this huge, you would expect to find some direct proof. But archaeologists have never, not once, found an ancient inscription that says something like Allah, the moon god. They've never dug up a statue with the name Allah on it. Meanwhile, we found plenty of stuff for other gods, including actual moon gods like Hubal. That kind of selective silence from the historical record is, well, it's a huge red flag for the theory.
Okay, so what about the crescent symbol? That's got to be the smoking gun, right? Well, it turns out not so much. Islam gets started in the 7th century, but the crescent doesn't become a major symbol associated with it until the Ottoman Empire adopts it, nearly 800 years later. It was actually a political and cultural symbol in the region long before that.
So, if the archaeology is coming up empty, where else can we look for clues? Well, turns out the answer is literally carved in stone and hidden inside the very DNA of language itself. To really get the word Allah, you have to understand its family tree. It belongs to a group of ancient languages called the Semitic languages. Think of them like linguistic cousins. This family includes Hebrew, Aramaic, and, of course, Arabic. And they all share these ancient common roots for really big ideas, especially the idea of God.
And when you look at them side by side, you see this incredible pattern going back thousands of years. In ancient Akkadian, it was Il. In Hebrew, it was El or Eloha. In Aramaic, the language Jesus spoke, it was Ilāh. So when you get to the Arabic ilāh, which then becomes Allah, literally meaning the God, you realize it's not some new, unique name. It's the direct Arabic continuation of this ancient shared tradition.
And this isn't just a linguistic theory. We have actual physical proof. We found inscriptions from nomadic Arabs, written hundreds of years before Islam, that use the name Allah when talking about a supreme god. But even more amazing is the Zabad inscription from the year 512. It's a Christian church dedication. And in the Arabic part of the text, the word they use for God is Allah. Think about that. Arab Christians were using this name a century before Muhammad was even born.
Okay, so let's put the pieces together. If Allah was a common term for a supreme god used by lots of different people, then what exactly was going on in Mecca right before Islam? What did they actually believe? This part is absolutely key. So their system wasn't just simple polytheism, a bunch of equal gods hanging out. It was something called henotheism. The basic idea was this: they absolutely believed in a single, supreme, all-powerful creator god at the very top. But they saw this god as way too distant and powerful to bother with their everyday problems. So they would pray to lesser gods and goddesses who acted as intercessors, kind of like spiritual middlemen. And this created a really clear spiritual hierarchy. You had a whole caste of local deities. Hubal was the big boss idol in the Kaaba. Then you had the three famous goddesses, Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, and Manat. But way up at the top, in a totally different league, was Allah, the supreme creator. And get this, the pagan Meccans never made an idol of Allah. Why? Because they believed he was too great to be represented by a statue. And we don't just have to speculate about this. We know it for a fact, because the Quran itself actually quotes the pagans' argument back at them. They didn't say, "We don't believe in Allah." They said, "We only worship these other idols so that they may bring us nearer to Allah." It's right there in black and white. Their own justification shows they saw the idols as just a pathway to the supreme God they already acknowledged. So when you lay all this evidence out, it leads to a really important question.
If the people of Mecca already believed in Allah as the supreme creator, then what was Islam's message even about? What was so revolutionary?
And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the matter. The revolution of Islam wasn't introducing a brand new God. It was a radical reform of how you worship. The message was, hey, you know that supreme God, Allah, that you already believe in? Well, you need to cut out all the middlemen. The core idea was that worship should go directly and exclusively to the one creator, with no go-between.
So, let's wrap this all up. What does the evidence actually show us? Well, Allah is an ancient Semitic term for God. Check. It was used by Arab Christians and others long before Islam. Check. The claim that Allah was a pagan moon god? No, it's totally unsupported by the archaeological evidence. Islam didn't invent a new god named Allah, it completely reformed how that one supreme God was meant to be worshipped.
The evidence from history and archaeology is actually pretty clear here, but it does leave us with a bigger and maybe even more fascinating question. Why do some stories, even when they're not supported by evidence, manage to be so powerful and stick around for so long? Now that is something worth thinking about.